All right, this is a video explanation of your homework. Tonight, you needed to finish this homework 3 if you didn't finish in class. So I'm going to go over a couple of the sections to make sure you're on the right track and understand what the problems are asking of you. So on this front page, you're graphing the linear equation and converting to slope-intercept form when necessary. Now your slope-intercept form, if this starts working correctly, let's see, is when we have y equals mx plus b. Okay, so the parts we have to use are, we always do the b first, and then we also use our m, our slope, to graph additional points. Okay, all right, so on our problem, let's look at number 1. And mainly because in this equation we have a negative 2/5 x. This is our slope here. Okay, and our b is this negative 3. This is where we start. We start at the y-intercept, which is this value here, and our y is this vertical line here. And we are going to plot a negative 3. So that means we go down 3 and put a point there. Okay. Now we're going to plot additional points using our slope. Since our slope is a negative 2/5, I'm just going to write m equals, that's our m, negative 2/5. That's like the negative 2/5. As a negative fraction means either the numerator or the denominator is negative, not both. Because if they're both negative, that turns this into a positive. So this indicates if I have a negative 2, that means I'm going down. Oops, I don't think my pen is on, sorry. That means I'm going down 2 first and then to the right 5. So you put your pencil at the y-intercept, the starting point, and you count down 2 and then to the right 5, then put that point. Okay, you repeat that down to the right. Well, I can't repeat going this way because I run out of room. So what we have to do is do the reverse. So instead of down to, the reverse, so I'm going to just put an or, we're going up to, and then to the left 5. So starting point is at the y-intercept, you count up to, and then to left 5, 1, 2. And then plot our point there. And see, since we have a negative slope, our points should be decreasing or going like down the slide, which they are. So now I'm just going to get my ruler, get my straight edge. Let me see if I can, actually probably need to make this a little bit smaller. And we're going to line up the points. And then draw our line through those points. I think this will get me there. Yep, there we go. Okay. So this is what we're doing on this front page, is using mx plus b, the slope-intercept form, to graph the point. Now, if our slope is not a fraction like we have here, like for example, number 3, we're still starting off with the b, which is a negative 1. So I put a point on the y-axis at a negative 1. And since my slope is 6, I have to think of this as a fraction of 6/1. So that means I'm going to move this point, from this point, excuse me, 6, that means up 6, because the 6 is positive, over 1, that's positive, that means to the right 6. So we would count from here, and we would count up 6, and then to the right 1, and then plot that point. Oh, my pencil's not on. And then plot that point right there. And then we're drawing a line through that point. I can't repeat. I could maybe go down 6, let's see. Yep, and then to the left 1. So you can do a reverse to get more points, and your goal is to get 3 to 4 points graphed before we want to use the straight edge, our ruler, to draw our line through the points. I think this is off. Let me see if I can fix this. All right. Now, if you do not have a b, like on number 5 here, remember it's in slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. And if you look here, there's not a b, so it's like saying plus 0. If I add anything to 0, it stays the same. So if I don't see a b, like I did in this equation, there's no b, that means the y-intercept is at 0, which is the origin. Now our slope is a negative 3/4, so negative 3 over 4 means we're counting down 3 and then to the right 4. So up, down 3, 1, 2, 3, to the right 4. Okay, we can repeat that. Or we can go in the reverse order, which is up 3 and to the left 4. And then we can draw our line through that. So our first page, this front page, is in slope-intercept form. I do want to talk about these last three here. In slope-intercept form, we have mx plus b. Okay. If I look at this equation, the x term, the mx term, should be first. And if you look at it, it's being last. It's after the 7, the constant. So what I would do is I would rewrite this. Okay. This is the same thing as saying negative 5x plus 7. Now I can see that the 7 is the y-intercept. So I start on the y-axis at 7. And I see my slope is this negative 5, put it over 1, and that's my slope. Remember, it's negative. So that means I'm counting down 5 to the right 1. And repeating that. And then we're drawing our line. I'm just going to use my line tool here. We're drawing our line through these points. Like such. Okay. So 7 through 9, they're not in slope-intercept form. So if you need to, you can rewrite them. Change this order around. So y equals, put the slope, the 6 over 5x, and then minus 4. And then graph like we normally do. So try to rewrite 9. And let's see if you got, hopefully you saw negative 1/3 x, then minus 5. And then graph, like I said, start with the y-intercept and then move for additional points using your slope, using the m. Now when you get to the back, okay, the back is not in slope-intercept form. We're going to have to change into slope-intercept, okay? Now, in order to do that, we're going to change the standard form, which is the ax plus by equals c, into slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. And in order to do that, you have to first move your x, and then, if necessary, divide by y. When you move the x, and this was on our notes and we kind of practiced that today in class, we're moving the x by doing the inverse, by doing the opposite. So like on number 10 here, if I have a 5x plus 4y equals a negative 20, the opposite of 5x is a negative or minus 5x. Do that first. Let the x terms cancel. Then we rewrite what remains. Starting from left to right, I have a 4y now equals, and we're going to put it in slope-intercept form, which means the x term comes first, so minus 5x, and then plus 20. All right, then I'm going to move this over just a little bit so we have some room. Then what we're doing is we're solving for y, and it says right here we're going to divide by y. Oops. So meaning divide by y means you divide by the number in front of y. The 4 is the coefficient. It's what's in front. So you're dividing each term by that 4. The 4's will cancel in front of y, leaving y by itself, which is what we're trying to get. Now we have a negative 5 over 4x, and 20 divided by 4 is 5. So we're going to start with the y-intercept, which is 5. Count up 5 on the y-axis, plot a point there, and we're going to move our slope. Our slope is this negative 5/4. So that means down 5 to the right 4. Plot a point there and repeat that if you can. And then we're drawing a line through those points. Again, I'm just going to use my line tool. But use your straight edge, okay? So if, for example, we look at number 12, there's no coefficient, you're still doing the same steps. We're still moving the x, so this will be minus x. Hold on, I probably need to fix that because I just saw the pen. Minus x, minus x. And the x terms cancel. We have a negative y equals, well, 0 minus x is just going to leave you negative x. Anything, 0 is our multiplicative, our additional identity, excuse me. And meaning anything we add to 0 doesn't change the term. So, but we have to remember we can't have a negative y. There's an invisible negative 1 here. And so to get rid of that negative 1, we're dividing each term by a negative 1, because a negative divided by a negative here turns this to a positive. And so this would be just a positive x. And this is what we talked about on the front page. Y equals mx plus b. If there's not a plus b or plus or minus b here, that means our starting point is the origin. And remember, our slope is our coefficient of x, and there's an invisible 1 there, but that's like saying 1 over 1. So you count up 1 to the right 1, up 1 to the right, up 1 to the right. And that allows you to create your line for your points to go through. Okay. So watch your signs, okay? Follow your steps, one thing at a time. Definitely watch your signs with your x terms and your y terms. For example, on number 15 here, if I first move the x, oops, that should be 4x minus 4x minus 4x. This is now a negative y equals negative 4x plus 1. And just like before, there's an invisible 1 there, so we're dividing each term by a negative 1. So negative and negative makes that positive. So y equals 4x minus 1. Okay. So please take the time to practice solving for y. This, unfortunately, is the form that most equations are written on the STAR test, or mostly even on standardized tests. And then we have to be able to convert it or understand how to use a quick graph, which is what we're going to get into. So if you have questions, be ready to ask or check an answer before you turn in your paper tomorrow. Thank you.